let's talk about sending the state of California broke, shall we? I find these cultural arguments really interesting here as an Aussie, right? I see these things going on in America and I see the periphery of it. I don't really know the detail of it. But when I talk to you, I get the detail and I get how fired up you are about this. So the state of California, if you don't know, folks, are talking about paying reparations to people that were offended on Reddit because someone said something about, I don't know, something not being true, or it's just a very, very strange situation. But all jokes aside, they are literally paying reparations to people in California. And can you give us some more background on that, Ed?
Well, not yet. They're not. It's not official anything, and we're going to talk about that at the end. So let me start by painting the picture for any of you out in the world who aren't familiar with this subject matter. I'm going to play you a few clips. It only take a couple minutes, and then we'll open it up for discussion. And just a little spoiler alert, I hope you're sitting down for this. All right, here we go.
62-year-old Denise Green has lived in Southern California her entire life.
This is my grandmother right here.
She knows her ancestors came from Mississippi, but much of her family history was unknown. That is until her niece started doing research.
Here's the 1880 census.
Adrienne Abiodun is a professional genealogist in Tampa, Florida, but even she spent 2 decades and thousands of dollars before uncovering the name Philip Branch.
So Philip Branch is my 4th great grandfather, and he was an enslaved person.
What was your reaction when Adrienne told you that your family is direct descendants of an enslaved person named Philip Branch?
I thought that was awesome. It was just a little overwhelming.
The vital lineage information could be valuable in California as it debates what is owed to descendants of the enslaved. Camila Moore is chair of the California Reparations Task Force, the first in the nation statewide effort to address systemic racism against African Americans caused by the enduring legacy of slavery. Could it be something as simple as you take a cheek swab, you submit your DNA, and they go, oh, you're a descendant of an enslaved person, here's your check?
I mean, it could be. Again, this is all still a work in progress.
Welcome back. The Reparations Task Force voted over the weekend on their final recommendation for the state. The task force was created 2 years ago to analyze and determine the best way to repay African Americans.
And our political reporter Morgan Reiner joins us now with the details.
Luke and Devin, the Reparations Task Force did make their final decision, but it doesn't have any legal weight. They're going to hand over the recommendations to the legislature July 1st, and then lawmakers will determine if and how they turn it into law. More than 100 people gathered in Oakland on Saturday to express frustrations over the impact slavery has had on African Americans.
We often talk about reparations and people say that we're getting a handout, but we've given this country, let alone the whole world, a handout for the last 200 years. No, 500 years. U.S.
Barbara Lee, who was running for Senate, weighed in during public comments.
Reparations are not a luxury for our people, but a human right long overdue for millions of Americans.
In this 34-page document the Reparations Task Force approved, it outlines how much Black Californians who are descendants of slaves could be compensated. $13,600 each year for health harms, $148,000 for housing discrimination,
Okay, so I'm having technical difficulty. Did that cut out there, Rob, or was that running and I didn't know?
It was running it was a bit blurry. I think because of StreamYard and the live stream and stuff going on there.
Okay.
But look, we definitely got the point there that they were doing it, and it is maddening. It is absolutely mad. How do you feel about that? You must feel mad about that.
This is absolutely pure pandering, and it's evil. You know, the message that these politicians are given to Black people is that they are permanent victims. That this argument is so filled with flaws. I mean, look, we were a British colony there for a long time, and there's a lot of slavery going on there. So are we going to drag Britain into the reparations too? Can
I share my screen and highlight something to highlight that very point? Because I got something pretty interesting here as I was watching that, because I've heard this argument a fair bit, and I heard this the other day, that how many ancestors do you have? Like how many people are in your lineage, right? So this is just a quick Google search shows me this, right? So if this is you've got 2 grandparents, 4, 8, 16, and it goes all the way out like this, right? So 13 generations away from you. So say everybody lived 70 years. So 70 times 13, that would be the year. That's how many are in that generation. So 4,096. And the cumulative total of ancestors is 8,000 odd people that are part of your lineage going back 13 generations. So this is the thing that highlights the ridiculousness of it. Imagine if you were in a stadium of 8,000 people who happen to be all actually related to you. They would be from all races, from all countries on planet Earth, all types of people that you could imagine. So there'd be good people in there, bad people in there, stupid people in there, really smart people in there. There'd be all sorts of people that are in your family lineage, in your family tree. And imagine if all of those people who had died, because they're no longer with us, because they were your family, you're the result of them. Imagine if 8,000 people could see you standing on the stage in that stadium, looking at you at some town hall in Oakland saying, we've suffered. I've suffered. I need to be paid. They would all be looking at you going, you haven't suffered. You've prospered from everything that we went through. You're prospering. You're not entitled to anything. What makes you think that you're entitled? And then I think these people that I think for the last 600 or 700 years, or however long that would be in that many generations, imagine if they could see you today complaining about the things that you're complaining about, trying to get money out of the government for doing nothing, even though you live in the best time in human history. There's been no better time in human history. We've all got a tummy full of food, a pocket full of money, and a safe place to sleep. You know, food, water, and shelter are the last things that you could ever possibly have to worry about. Even if you were a homeless person, you don't even have to think about that.
Listen, every minority group in the country, in the world, they have access to grind. They've all suffered discrimination in one form or another. So where does it end? Are you guys more special than the next victim group? I mean, please tell me what the hierarchy is. Which group is the most put upon? No, this is evil. Look, so Newsom puts together this organization to study this 2 years ago. He had to know this is not going to happen, but he did it to pander, to give people the idea. Oh boy, I might get $1 million out of this. Boy, sure. So he becomes popular, right? He knew this is never going to happen. He knew this is never going to. So yesterday, Newsom put out a release. So he's saying, you know what? We don't have the money, but we're gonna give you reparations in other ways, through affirmative action programs and anti-racist policies. And it's kind of like, when you go to your boss for a raise, and your boss says, you come to me for a raise, Rob, and you think you deserve it. And I say, Rob, you know what? You're a really good employee. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you. I can't give you a raise, but I'm going to make you employee of the month. So you can feel better about it. So you walk up to, if you work for if you want to appreciate me, give me the money. That's how you can appreciate me. So Newsom, he's saying, I can't give you money, but I'll make you employee of the month. How's that? So this is what
I look at it.
He's a typical politician.
But yeah, so that's what I was going to say, right? Is if you could try and look at it from both sides of the argument, right? So it's very easy for you and me to sit here because we're hardworking individuals, and you and I want to take personal responsibility for ourselves and be responsible for our own actions. That's why we do what it is that we do. There's plenty of people here in Australia on social welfare, and there's the government. You're sucking off the tit of the government when you're taking social welfare, when you live in a lucky country with a great opportunity. All you've got to do is put in a bit of effort. And all Western countries in the world are the same. I don't buy into it that, I live in the Philippines, it's a shit opportunity. Bullshit. You can sit at home and work as a freelancer on your computer from the Philippines just like anybody else can on planet Earth. And you're just making excuses because you're lazy. And imagine if those 8,000 ancestors could see you now complaining about the things that you're complaining about. Stop it. Stop whinging. You're not entitled to whinge. But let me close the loop here for you, and tell me what you think of this. I was going to say that for whatever reason, politicians are pandering to these people. And what it seems to me like is the politicians are they're really wishy-washy. So if I try and look at it from the person who says, we deserve reparations, the reason that we have all of this is because my ancestors suffered and I'm entitled to something for their suffering. That's what they're saying, right? Even though to you and me in our rational brains, we go, that is just